Hi, friends. Renee Patterson with Able the Disabled. I've recently had the pleasure of being on a podcast by the name of Back to Basics. This podcast believes in keeping things simple, not overcomplicating things like we have a tendency to do. This organization, I'm telling you, is professional. They asked great questions and they gave me an opportunity to talk about my journey through my disability. I hope you guys get a chance to listen to this podcast when it becomes available, which is going to be sometime in September. I look forward to you listening. Hope you enjoy it. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
How are you guys? My name is Girish, Bali, the host for Back to Basics, another Back to Basics for another week. Today we're going to talk about a really sensitive topic, aren't we? And it's one of the last episodes that we're going to be doing this season. And the way the things are going in season 1 and season 2, thank you all for all the support that you've given me so far. Today we're going to talk about disability. Now the question is disability good for you or bad for you? That's something that you got to decide. Is that considered as a curse word, or is that considered as a curse in the family, which is not good for the family? Or is it good? We'll figure that out also when we get on the call. Today we have a guest. Her name is Renee, and we're going to talk about the detailed stuff about her journey and what her journey is all about. Amazing journey, by the way. We became awesome friends. We are still good friends, even offline. And we chat with each other. Not often enough, but we should, because she's a great person to chat with, have a beer with, have a coffee with, or whatever it is. So let's bring her on. Let's talk about the story of Renee's life and what she's all about and what she's not all about. Renee, how are you? And thanks for coming to Back to Basics.
Hi, yes, I'm doing really well. Thank you now that I'm here, and I appreciate the time, Girish.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Renee, for coming on the show, and definitely honored. But before we talk about the details of what I said earlier in the beginning of the show, what does back to basic mean to you?
Uh, I think it means, or I believe it means, to keep it simple, stupid. So that's when I was in the military. We called the sergeants would say that we were overdoing it. We were overthinking something. So if we had that told to us to kiss it, that was to keep it simple, stupid, and that meant that you just do what you're told and do it very easily. It doesn't mean that you have to re-engineer every time you do something. So what it means to me, your title is really important because that is exactly what I had to do when I became disabled. I
Mm,
became disabled as a 50-year-old woman, and my life had been where I lead the household. I was making the money. I was the one that the go-to person at work and at home and my family. I'm the oldest. A lot of things fall on your shoulders for something like that. And when I wasn't able to literally move anymore, um, it changed the trajectory of everything, not just my life, but my family's life too.
mm, mm,
So when I think about how I had to learn how to walk again, and I guess that's a visual for what back to basics is.
mm,
I couldn't get up and do what I was normally doing.
mm,
Still are limited at this point, but that's where I leave it. Back to basics is just keep it simple,
mm.
make it easy for all of us to understand. And that way we can work within cultures, within across the seas with each other, all of that.
Yeah, Renee, thank you again for answering that question. And it seems like the whole episode that we're going to be talking about is your journey and what has happened. And you said that very simply in those 2 minutes. So thank you again for explaining that. It seems like you have so much of, passion of what you want to tell the story of your style, yourself. So thank you
Yep.
again for coming here.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
so Renee, let me ask you this, right? Let's go before this whole thing happened.
Okay.
What was Renee before this whole thing happened, and what's Renee afterwards? Let's ask you that.
Renee was very much a workaholic,
Okay.
very much so. And it was easy to be because I got a chance to go to different places and pretty much take up residency in some others. And my last position, I was working in New York, right off Broadway. It was one of those things that's a dream because I got to enjoy the city of New York on the dime of my company, which makes it a lot easier to do. I met great people though. My
Mm,
thing is, I love meeting people. I love having fellowshipping with others and really getting into a place outside of work where we could connect.
mm,
Um, then I was also um, dealing with process improvement. So that
mm,
was the kind of theme for my whole entire life. It really, I guess, if I wrap it up into that, everything was to how do I break it down and then build it back up so that it's more efficient.
mm,
And it was so much a part of my life that when that was gone and when I couldn't even have myself do anything, I had to have others do for me.
mm,
I had to be at their that I was, well, I should say, they were doing it their way,
mm,
and I was used to doing it things my way, and then I would be the one to tell you how I want things done, and
mm,
then you would do it as I say because it was the best thing for the business.
mm.
Um, that was not so much when I got sick.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I was on the at the back. I was in everyone's else's uh, timeline, everyone else's capability. Um, in some that did not want to realize that this was more than just a fleeting issue. This
Mm,
was going to be long term.
mm. And Renee, thank you again for explaining that. It's definitely hurtful, isn't it? So I really apologize for you bringing up, whatever has happened back in the past. So
Mm.
it's going to be tough when we go through forward. So if you want to pause, that's okay too. So let me ask you this here. How did this whole thing happen? I mean, you were in the military, correct? And
Hmm.
but what was it that it actually happened to the injury and what you have gone into?
Uh, Initially, um, I was fainting in places, and I didn't realize I had a fainting problem. I thought I was just like missing my step, and then I would go down and someone would help me up. But what I realized later on is that I was actually fainting. The last time before I went into the hospital, I was at a conference and I was at the restaurant downstairs from the hotel getting things to eat to take back up to my room. And when I opened my eyes, the whole restaurant had stopped the music they were playing, and I was waking up from the floor, and everyone was around me, trying to see if I was okay and
Mm,
trying to make sure that um, I got back to my room safely and all that. So, uh, of course, that let me know that I definitely something's not right.
mm,
And when I got back home, I went straight to the hospital
mm,
and I stayed there probably almost 2 weeks
mm,
trying to going through all types of tests. And one thing that they did figure out is I had low blood pressure.
mm,
And I didn't even think that was a thing that you could have low blood pressure because
mm,
I've always taken pills for high blood pressure.
mm,
So, in not only having low blood pressure, but I was making it lower by taking the pills. So, I was making my own problem. Uh, Once we figured that out, still there were some things. I Eventually we discovered I had neuropathy, and neuropathy is the loss of your nerve endings become where you cannot feel anymore, and so for me it started in my feet, came up through my calves, and now I have it in my hands as well.
Mm.
So we all of this, the things that we don't even realize we are using is gone. So the things that you do to know that you there's a table nearby, or that you're stepping down properly on the ground, you're going to be careful if you go barefoot, because it's something you can't feel it, and then unless something is happening that you know is happening to you, it
Mm.
won't you you could end up having a worse diagnosis after that, from that issue. But
Mm.
the the problem there with the neuropathy meant that I could no longer neuropathy gets into your brain, where so I see a neurologist, and the balancing problem started to happen, which meant
Mm.
that my walking was a problem.
Mm.
That's how I ended up in the wheelchair,
Mm.
and eventually I dislocated my hip, making of course the problem even worse. And then I ended up with um, just a lot of pain. So with neuropathy comes chronic pain. Uh,
Mm.
this pain, unless you have ever suffered from pain, oh, okay, we got a visitor. Excuse me. Unless you've suffered from pain, you won't be able to understand the level um, of pain that is. God, sorry, Girish. Um, the level of pain is very difficult to understand if you've ever had it. It doesn't go away. Only thing you can do is pacify it.
Mm.
So when you go to the hospital, or the doctor asks you, between 1 and 10, where do you range? With one being the best and 10 being, painful. Where do you put yourself? Um, Without painkiller, I'm always at a 5. I'm
Mm.
always in pain. I feel it all the time. Even now, talking to you, I'm having pain. But if I take medication, I can get better, a better use of my limbs, my
Mm.
body, my mind, even, because when you're thinking about pain all the time, it's very difficult to do it, the things you want to do to get started for your day, to put on clothes, to bathe yourself, to do the things that just are just normal everyday stuff. Now add on that I need to go somewhere, I need to be someplace on time, that I may have to you know wear something in particular because I'm going to have some testing done. These things that are, it takes, sometimes for me 2 hours to get ready to go somewhere.
Mm.
No more of this, you know, just fly by the seat of your pants, and having friends that call and say, "Hey, we're gonna go have breakfast over here." I don't just jump up and go.
Mm.
I'll meet you after I can get there now, and I don't drive anymore because the sensor that you need around your feet in
Mm.
order to feel the pedal, to feel the gas, all of that it just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And
You know,
so, mhm,
Renee, thank you again. That's so loaded. And
mhm.
I'm sorry that you're going through this. So
Thank
so let me ask you this, if you don't mind, just stepping back a little.
you. Mhm.
Is anyone in your family used to have this in your family, or your mom's side, your dad's side, or anybody, or it is just you that who's going through this?
My mother and father have neuropathy. They don't. I had it first, though. They don't have the level of neuropathy that I have either. So we use the same type of medication but different levels of it, and the amount of time we use it for is different. Meaning how many times we take it in a day is what I meant.
Mm, mm.
Uh, so it can be hereditary.
But Renee, thank you again for that. So, and I'm gonna ask you a little detailed question, and maybe you might not know the answer. But
Mm-hmm.
is this completely from the origin that it came from your family, or is it something with the environment, or what is it that how do we get this, or
Well, one way, the normal way that it is ushered in to, when I say normal, I mean in the medical community, is from having diabetes.
Mm,
I don't have diabetes. My
mm,
mother does. My father does not. So I my mother takes insulin to manage her diabetes. So she's
mm,
type 2.
mm,
That's not something that I had or ever had for during this time period.
mm,
I was treated as if I had diabetes because that was the normal way to treat it.
mm,
My blood sugar, though, was never one that it was driven by, like normally diabetes is treated by people who have a certain blood sugar level.
mm,
That wasn't me either. So, but when we realized that that wasn't it, um, what they call me now at Mayo Clinic started it with me. It was called Idiopathic Peripheral Neuropathy.
mm,
And I always say that idiopathic means idiot. We
mm,
just don't
mm,
know. We just don't understand it, so we can't put our finger on it. There is a understanding within the medical community that you could have diabetes. Excuse me, you could have neuropathy if you are have alcoholism.
mm,
That will cause, or it will sustain neuropathy.
mm,
Um, I will have to say to you that I didn't have an alcohol problem before having neuropathy. I mean, I always drank, but it wasn't a thing to drink. It was just something as a sideline of going out, having some private time, and having that doing that with socially, as
yeah.
we call it. But once I became disabled, and to get people to understand the level of pain is just something that, unless you're feeling it, I can sit here and tell you all day that it's something deeper, and you're just not going to get it. And
Mm,
doctors used to prescribe opioids for this,
mm,
but now the opioids became the problem, and the excuse me, the use of opioids was all of a sudden now something that was being regulated.
mm,
Doctors were the overcorrect. It was overcorrected with the use of giving drugs of
mm,
opioids to people.
mm,
So now I have to see a pain specialist,
of course.
someone in that field. Trying to find, oh, we're going through different tests all the time to find out if it's this, if it's that. There's always a reset to find out where your pain may be coming from. And for me, it's just I couldn't get. Well, I'm not going to blame it. I use alcohol to help dull the pain,
Mm,
to make it easier to go to sleep at night. It made
un-
it easier to get through the day. Um, so I had to. I was doing things to myself by
of
using
course.
too much alcohol. So I had to stop alcohol altogether. Um, got got a different set of doctors who were going to really work toward my goal, which was to not be on anything anymore. I just would like to not have to take pills. But you know the damage I did to my liver and um, um, my my body, just the being able to manage my well, I'll get. I don't know how much you want to know, but I'll tell you that incontinence is a problem, um, and you know all those parts of your body that you need to feel to know what you need to do next, like knowing that you have to use the restroom. You don't
Mm,
feel
mm.
it anymore
I
because
understand.
of the neuropathy. So that's what ends up happening. You know, that
Mm,
adds to your day to day issues.
mm,
So what happened to me, what I did to myself in I would say in the under in the scope of having chronic pain and neuropathy, it was something that hopefully I could reverse. With liver, you can do some things to get the reversal. It may not all the way, be all the
Mm.
way there, but you can do some things to be better. And stopping the alcohol was first.
Of
And
course. Of
so I
course.
was able to do that. And I'm very happy that I was able to do that because also it gave me back purpose. My mind was working again. Um, Understanding that if I no longer had the contributions of discussion, of, uh, you know, uh, being able to talk with people and talk about, I should say, current events, um, being able to grow my mind with new projects and different types of processes that were coming that I needed to know about. These things help you stay focused. They help your brain become more and more competent. And then you can engage better. I wasn't able to do that. I was losing my
Of course.
speech
Of course.
even. So once I got to a place where I could think, and I realized and I call it rock, recognize, organize, and create. And once I recognized what my issues were, I could then decide where they were going to go, what I was going to do to meet those challenges. And some of
Mm.
them were ones I brought on by myself, and there are some that are just there that are part of the medical community is going to have to help me with to get better.
Mm.
Um,
But
it took. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead, please.
It just took a lot of going to rehab centers, and I don't mean alcohol rehab. Do mean
Hmm.
for rehabilitation in the body. A lot of physical therapy, lots of occupational therapy, speech therapy. A lot of people don't understand is that speech therapy really is much more broad than the word speech. You
Hmm.
really need to change it to a different name
Mm.
because there's memory care as well. I had very short amount of attention when it came to remembering things that are happening in the moment,
Mm.
but I was pulling memories out from 4 years old. I
Mm.
mean, I could tell you, even what it smelled like then. But what happened 10 minutes ago, I'm not sure. I don't know if I can call it out.
I
And
understand. I
that
understand.
was a real problems that had to be worked through. And speech therapies helps to do that.
Mm.
So I built a team of people, doctors and nurses, practitioners that were going to focus on these issues that I needed to make sure that I was functioning to my best ability with the body I have now. And then that was organizing my life around it. I was living as if that in my home that I own, as if it was all going to be better tomorrow,
Mm.
and it just wasn't.
Mm.
And I had to do some things to make sure that I could get that part of my life under control. For
Mm.
example, getting ready for the day, bathing, using doors, uh, using the kitchen. I had to make some changes in my house to do that.
Of
So
course.
that's what I say to people. Being disabled is expensive, so you have
Yeah.
to pay a
Yeah.
little bit more money for everything.
Mm.
One thing I can say that got better was when we had to shut in for the pandemic, height of the pandemic. Uh, my delivery services got better because now everyone needed delivery service, right?
Mm.
And that was a win for people who are disabled because by getting out, going somewhere was
Of course.
hardly ever. And then now we're hunkering down with each other. We need to figure it out,
Mm.
like everyone did. So, and with that, I started creating opportunities just like the stores and everyone in the world did during the pandemic period. We had to start creating opportunities. What would we do now that we don't have?
Mm.
Where do I go now that this is not available to me? And that was the same for my life, just not just a temporary fix, but where am I going from here? Recognizing that I am this person now, and what is this person capable of doing?
Mm.
And I know that most of my work when I was before I got sick had to do with working my brain, and I knew that I needed to figure out how to get some more synapses going so that
mm,
we could start firing off some ideas and thoughts, and making plans even
mm,
from one year to the next. I wasn't even doing that,
mm,
and now things are much better. I During my travels through rehabs, I met lots and lots and lots of different people, and their issues uh, were something that were my issues now.
mm,
We wouldn't have met otherwise.
mm,
But the difference was my mind, the mindset of where are we going to go with this? How are
mm,
we going to get out of being a person that's needy to a person that has a need?
mm.
And we make different decisions when we transition from
Of
that.
course, of course.
And that is exactly where I find myself now.
Mm,
But I really wanted to, I knew that God was the one, the God is my master.
mm,
Without God, I wouldn't be here, because I did, in fact, lose the the fight as it related to
mm,
being alive.
mm,
I was in a coma for 4 weeks at one point,
mm,
and twice my heart stopped. Twice I was brought back, and of course that's why I'm here.
mm,
And so I do believe in my my higher power, and
mm.
I know that God brought me back here to do something, and I think that this is exactly what He wants me to do. Continue to talk to people, tell my story.
Mm,
Hopefully, I will touch someone with what I have, encouraging people to look for their own path to restore, um, and that would make the touching on that, I believe making sure that you are the one that is healing you is the key to all of this. Most of us feel like we have to take anything and we need somebody else all the time. And
mm.
yes, in fact, we do need other people, but there are things we can do on our own. I don't, and I know that people have to be encouraged
Of
to
course.
do that. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm really thankful for this opportunity to talk
No,
to
no,
you.
of course, Renee. Thank you so much. I mean, we're so close of finishing off the episode so far, but I still have a lot of questions. But I have two major questions I do want to ask. Okay,
Okay.
one is in a short answer, obviously, but let me ask you this: physical health and mental health. And I know physical health, you are dealing with whatever you're supposed to be doing, and we all know that. I mean, it does take a while. Okay,
Yes.
whatever that journey is, and we can always talk about this offline.
Yeah.
But your mental health is one of the dangerous things, because that could break you or maybe make you motivated, right? Because
Yes.
or it's going to drive you, or you're going to say go to hell and I'm not going to do it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
what was your drive, and what was your I mean, what was your drive? I mean, I think that's the main question, I think.
Mostly, I would have to say the biggest, not by that much of a margin, but maybe the next one is 40% and 60%. I just wanted to be able to count on me. I
Mm,
wanted to be able to go somewhere if I wanted to go somewhere. I wanted to be able to do something if I chose to or not. I wanted the choice of that, and I didn't have that anymore.
mm,
Um, I I started to become more intentional with my movement, my moving through life. I told the doctors what I felt I needed and asked, is that am I in, am I in line with what this disease or this diagnosis will allow me to do? And of course, it was always be real careful. You don't want to overexert yourself. Falling is a very big concern for me, um, and so I can't get better if I don't move. Gotta move. Have to move that blood. The blood needs to circulate. So I started asking for in-home physical therapy,
of course.
and then that got me to outpatient physical therapy, which is much better than in-home because you have more equipment, and you have the period of time that you get ready to go, and then the time when you're finished and you got to come back. That also is therapy. in a sense because you're moving. Forget it. We're not sitting on the couch anymore.
Of course not.
So that was the biggest thing. I just wanted to be able to write my own ship,
Of
to
course.
lead my own thing.
But
And
Renee, but
Mhm.
Renee, sorry to interrupt you, but when people they go through certain disabilities or problems or traumas that they're going through, right? Um, and there's no shame of saying it because it does usually happen. People they just go suicidal mode because they don't want to deal with this, right? So I think that's the reason why I'm asking this question because some people they just give up and just give up instead of trying saying I will get better even that you won't or
Right,
you will. We don't know, right? So
right.
so that's what I'm saying that what is that drive? I mean, family is definitely one of the drives because it does give you a big support.
Mhm.
Friends around you and people around you like back to basics is giving you motivation too through my medium and through my shows.
Right.
S- What really drives you?
Uh, that is true. It's not that I didn't have that problem.
Mm,
I certainly did, and in fact, I'm clinically depressed.
mm,
I had to find a doctor, psychiatrist. I have a therapist, both. Um, it mattered that I answered questions that the doctors were giving me truthfully. You
mm,
have to be truthful because if you're not truthful with yourself about what's going on, it will continue to go on. So I got truthful. I got help. I still have help. Just had an appointment this morning. It's something that now is part of my week,
mm,
my month. I look forward to that. Just stay keeping myself accountable to the things that I'm talking about, talking through, and getting ideas of how about how to move forward.
mm.
Yes, I have medication as well, but that is that's not the driving factor
Of
with
course.
getting out of depression. What it is you have, again, picking your team, getting people around you that do support what you're trying to do and that holds you accountable. That's a driving factor for me. Like I said, was I want to get out. I want to be able to be in charge of me. And I couldn't do that
Mm,
before. But part of that was not being able to move because of the depression.
mm.
And pain will can depress you faster than anything. Um,
Yeah.
but of course, you
Renee,
don't want to stay there.
No, Renee, thank you again for answering that question, and thank you again for uh, being truthful on that part. But one last question. Um, the question is that yes, you did mention in the during of the interview, you did say that it does get expensive.
Yeah.
So now the question is that uh, does the government understand? Are you getting help? Is the insurance helping you? What is happening on from the finance point of view because it does get expensive and
Yeah, it
are
does.
you working or not working? That's all another question that I had too. So
Yeah, I'm considered totally disabled by the Social Security Department. I had applied for Social Security when I first got became ill. It took me uh, from 2014 until 2021 to get an answer that was that was germane to my situation.
mm,
Before I was turned down, I had to go to Social Security court. that we had a case, and they denied me all the way through, and I had to go a second round. So when I had to go the second round, and I finally got the Social Security, it came with Medicare. So now I have Medicare as well. Before I was paying for my own insurance. In the first 3 years, I went without insurance, so I was
mm,
paying out of pocket.
mm,
And that's another reason why things took a little longer to get done because
mm,
now I had to pay for it. I'm fortunate. I worked a great job that I had a great disability, long-term disability uh, insurance policy with
mm,
them.
mm,
And that paid for 66% of my income. And
mm,
then it was allowing me to pay for insurance and pay for um, procedures.
mm,
and co-pays and all of that. So
mm,
yeah, it's expensive. But the things like I can't stand and cook because
mm.
I don't have enough strength to just stand there, and I don't
Of
move
course.
fast enough. So I eat out. I had to get prepared foods, and sometimes I had to have people come in to help me. But if I didn't have any money or just income to do that, then I don't know what it would have been like. I'm not exactly sure because the things that could really devastate you hadn't happened to me as far as financially.
Mm,
I did blow through my retirement because it takes a long time to get in your head that you're no longer making this money. You know, you're making this money. I used to bonus twice a year,
mm,
and I wasn't able to do that. So when they policy started and it was 66% of my income, it did not include bonuses.
mm,
So it took me a minute to readjust, and
mm,
I couldn't do everything or pay for everything that I used to.
mm,
Since I don't drive, I have to take a Lyft or an Uber.
mm,
That's expensive after a while, you know, that, and also can determine if you don't have any money, are you going to the doctor?
mm,
How do I get there? And then I get there and pay my copay, and I got to get back. So uh, it matters. Paying for things to be delivered is can get expensive,
mm,
um, which is why when you do deliveries, you want to be able to purchase quite a bit so that you get the most bang for your buck.
mm,
And but if you don't have it, then it's of course you can't do that, and then you end up paying more because you have to have more deliveries. And so those kind of things, to take those into consideration, I was using these services
mm,
5 days a week,
mm.
and so it racks up after a while.
It does rack up. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then of course, assistive equipment. I had to change my bathroom around so that I would not have the issue again of falling. Um, and that, thankfully, I had the money to do that.
Mm,
But it takes a pretty penny, it really
mm.
does.
Renee, thank you again for answering that question, and thank you again for being here and sharing that story. I read uh, most of the stuff that you've given me, and it gave me goosebumps. And now you're giving me more goosebumps by just hearing you today. And I don't know how you're dealing with it. I really have no clue. But I can sense the pain out of your speech and your wordings. So thank you again for being here, and thank you again for supporting me on the back to basics here.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
Renee, but before you leave, I know you've said so much. But do you have any last words before you leave today to all my listeners and my viewers? And how was your journey on back to basics too? On top of that.
Oh, well, the journey's been fantastic, and you've got a very strong vision for what it is you're trying to do. I'm glad that it fits in. I fit into that. I like being able to see where you're going for the next season, and have a little insight on that. And it makes me I'm already thinking of people that I know that I've met on my journey that could be some of support to you in that as well.
Hmm,
Um, I I would say I want to leave people with knowing that you're your best answer. You really
hmm,
are.
hmm,
Count on yourself. Then you know that you can what you can and can't do, because if you know what it is in your own head and your own self, what your needs are, you can seek those out,
hmm,
making sure that you're the one driving that train, not someone else.
hmm,
And if you need some mental help, I really, really encourage people to do just that. It's not something that you need to be embarrassed about, or to feel like somehow that you're not doing it well enough. You're
hmm,
just trying to learn how to live differently, and
hmm,
all of us who are coming on this are whether we're because I had issues with my body or because I'm older and I can't do things anymore. We're all entering into those buckets, and we need to just be able to work
hmm.
it the best way we can.
Renee, thank you again for being here, and thank you again supporting me, and hopefully, you can come back again on Back to Basics to tell us your achievements of what has happened.
Oh,
Maybe
thank
might be
you.
a lot, or maybe might be less. I really don't know, but
Hmm.
I think I'm gonna say that Back to Basics does want to understand what has happened to Renee. So we want the 2 point version of Renee next time when you come back.
Well, I'm working on a book right now, and I will make sure that I update my website, which is ablethedisabled.com.
Mm,
And I would love to see you there, or and any of the viewers that may have some need. And I will certainly respond to anybody that needs some looking for some help. And I can, if I don't have it, I can sure put them with someone who can help them.
okay, yeah, Renee, thank you again for coming on Back to Basics.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
You have a good day.
So, guys, we spoke with Renee today, and we talked about the story of her life and what she's going through. She's still going through it today. You know, in the beginning of the episode, I did say, is disability a good thing or a bad thing? I really don't know, because it's everyone's journey, right? So you have to decide that if they're good or bad. Now, for me, I think she's struggling this every day, and she's doing a marvelous job. I mean, I've talked to her even offline, and just amazing. Now, as usual, as always, there is a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and hopefully, my guest Renee will like the quote. It's a long quote, but it is a quote that I think fits right into this show. It is a waste of time to be angry about my disability. One has to get on with life, and I haven't done badly. People won't have time for you if you are always angry or complaining. This is by Stephen Hawking. Now, we all know who he is. We know that what he went through. Now, there are a lot of people like that too. So, guys, as usual, as always, what do we always say at the end of the episode? Everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care, God bless, and see you next time on Back to Basics with a bunch of new stuff happening for season 3. And with your love and support, please comment on all the episodes, because I do release every day, and we are so close of just finishing off the season. There are 3 things that this episode makes it a successful one for me, that is, which is the content, the guest, and definitely the host. Guys, take care, God bless, and I will see you next time on Back to Basics. Take care, God bless. Next week's episode on Back to Basics. I have transformed into a different person, a better person. I'm like, I really don't know what I'm doing. So I think when people they notice you and you don't realize it, I think that's a big accomplishment, isn't it?
Oh, it's a
Uh,
massive one. And a lot of times I think other people see us better than we
that's what
see
I'm saying.
ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a mirror doesn't do anything for me. You look at somebody else and all of a sudden you see way you get a lot more
That's
information.
right. That's right. That's
Um,
right. I mean,
what
it's crazy when people they notice you, but you don't. What is it? Tap your back,
yeah,
tap of the back
they'll
type of thing. So I think it's more of when people they